Hey everyone, welcome back to the RePHIL studio. This is your host, SBPhilos4. This is your weekly Bang Stream podcast giving you the best up-to-date information on upcoming news and updates to the game and franchise, as well as give you insight from prominent community members sharing their experiences and stories about the game. As always, feel free to check out our website, links in the description below, to learn on how you could support the podcast by either joining the YouTube membership program down below or by subscribing to my Twitch. All Filler Nation members can join the Discord and listen to these podcasts live when they're happening. But of course, anyone is welcome to join the Discord to interact with special guests featured in the podcast and join a fun community. So hope to see you there. Well, this week, there's not too many major updates in regards to JPdori or ENdori, but there are some pretty interesting points of discussion to talk about. So we'll do that, and then we'll invite our two special guests over to the studio to have them share their experiences and stories. So looking forward to that. Let's start off with the Weekly News Corner. Okay, so JPdori, the current event right now is a challenge live event. It is a mixed event that features Rinko and Tomoe. It's called I'm Not That Kind of Person. It's about some a little bit of maybe angst between Rinko and Tomoe, but either way, it's a very interesting mixed pairing of individuals. The event song is Spark Again, as we sort of knew from the GARPA Station 6, covered by Roselia. So that is a pretty interesting event for fans of those two characters. This is going to be a really interesting event that will happen later next year for ENdori. So definitely look forward to that. There's also news with JPdori, and this is officially posted by the official Twitter account, that RePHIL and Bandori 2 is going to be the next event after this current event. There's some promotional material that has been shown. There's like a picture of RePHIL kind of reaching out to Choo Choo, again, possibly being the one causing some conflict in the band as well. So RePHIL and Bandori 2 is finally going to be out, and it's going to be the final event of 2021 for JPdori. So for RePHIL fans, definitely look forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun, and definitely looking forward to some really great character development and further development between the RePHIL band members. In addition, the extra song featuring Afterglow and Flow is finally out in the game. Colors, the opening to Code Geass, is in the game, and male vocals, whoa, this is like something we haven't really seen since Baby Shark in the game. So again, big congrats to Afterglow for a great collaboration with Flow for the extra song. And there's also a limited time song that's going to be added to the game that's called Yusho. It is original Flow song, but has Afterglow featured in the song. It's Yusho stands for win or victory, so it's a pretty interesting song. It's going to be featured in Flow's newest album that's coming out later this month. So definitely check that out before it disappears from the game. So again, big shout outs to Afterglow and Flow for a successful collaboration. As also mentioned in the GARPA Station 6 video I made, the next extra song is actually going to be coming out later this month. At least that's what they're hoping. It's going to be Past the Palace and Claris, and the song is going to be Hitori Goto, which is the opening to Eromanga Sensei. So that's a really fun song, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. Again, let's see if it happens near the end of the month, as well as RePHIL and Bandori 2. JPdori aside, let's talk about ENdori, because ENdori, we're finally getting some positive updates. The current event, if you're listening to this podcast right now, is the Do-Re-Mi Hello Happy World collab. So that's finally in the game. So the 4.10 update finally got in, and now they finally have the collab in the game. So people, Hello Happy World fans who've been waiting for this event for the longest time are finally able to tier for this event, and also spend gacha for these limited cards that look very cute, of course. So ENdori finally kind of going back on schedule. So again, this is a mission live event, but has VS Live aspects where there's like Marina box like system to redeem for most importantly cans, but also other things like shards and coins. So another place for us to gather more cans and be ready for the next refill. So so again, the Do-Re-Mi Hello Happy World collab is finally happening. It's a little bit of a shorter event, but again, they want to accelerate the schedule, so that's just kind of how it is. There's also a miracle ticket gacha right now. So again, for those unaware, you do a 10 pull using only paid stars, and then you'll get a miracle ticket, and that miracle ticket could be redeemed for any 4-star of your choice that's available in the collection that they give you. So this is a great way to guarantee something that you need, perhaps for an event or for song tiering, or just maybe a character you like. So I think it's a very, very valuable sort of investment, and it's available until January 10th. So you have quite a bit of time to decide on whether or not you would want to get that miracle ticket. But either way, that's already very positive news. Another positive news is that the data mine has shown that the next event after this current event is Bandori 3 Afterglow, One of Us. So One of Us has been delayed for 3 months now, and there is data mines that there's like a countdown to when the event is going to happen, and we're most likely going to see promotional material on the official Twitter website very soon as well from ENdori. So One of Us Afterglow fans are finally going to get the event, and it's finally going to be happening again. It seems like ENdori is also not too shy from just doing back-to-back, like super stacked events together. So perhaps the event after One of Us is going to be Title Idol. So we'll see. We'll check the data mines and we'll await that. So we'll see if it's either going to be Title Idol, maybe Terrible Horror Night. Gotta get stuck in between. But either way, ENdori is making efforts to make up for the events that have not been published yet or not been released. So we are finally going to get those events to sort of wrap up 2021 and going into 2022. Now, of course, we can't talk about ENdori without issues that they're having, and the issues in hand right now is the fact that some Android users, and it seems like it's usually the newer Android phone users, they're having issues accessing the game. It seems like the game is crashing every time they're trying to access it. You may have noticed at the previous event, Welcome to the Shrine, the amount of people that were able to access it or play the event were a lot fewer. Like, I was able to very easily get top 500, even though like I played like what I would normally do to get top 2500. So it's a really concerning problem. ENdori on Twitter has officially acknowledged that there is an issue with Android users with this patch, and they're working on it. But it's a huge blow because, again, with these Android users, they missed out on an event entirely, and they also missed out on a Dreamfest, which they could have gotten. So, and the issue so far has not been fully resolved either. So they might be even missing this current collab event and also missing Bandori 3. So it's still bad. There's still a lot of issues with ENdori, which I guess leads to the question as to why Google prevented ENdori from doing the maintenance of this 4.10 update. Now, at first, a lot of people were saying, oh, well, now this is kind of Google's problem of not allowing ENdori from doing the update. But at the same time, if you kind of think about it, right, why is it that only Android users are having these issues and iOS people are not? Perhaps that Google actually prevented ENdori from doing the 4.10 update because it's unstable, right? It's unstable, and they foresaw that users would have issues once they update this 4.10 update, that the game will have issues and will experience problems. For however reason, one way or another, Bushiroad was able to convince Google that there won't be any issues, and they were able to get the maintenance done. But here we are, Android users having issues with this current 4.10 update and being unable to play the game. So, a lot of people I knew were pretty, pretty negative towards Google. Be like, oh, why is it Google now this time trying to prevent us from playing the game and preventing us from doing what we want? But I always had a look as to like, okay, well, there's probably a reason why Google's flagging this down. There's probably some reason, and I'm not going to be surprised. Again, it's not fully confirmed, but the theory, and honestly, it's pretty sound. I think Google flagged down this update from Bushiroad because they knew that it was not going to be stable for their users, but Bushiroad kind of went through it anyway, and here we are, Android users having issues accessing the game, and it's bad. It's still really bad. And so far, to this point, there's no idea of when Bushiroad's going to fix this issue for Android users, and whether or not there's going to be any compensation for the Android users for all of their incompetencies again. Incompetency is another word I keep using every single podcast, but that's just kind of that's summarizing ENdori in a nutshell. For the past 3 months, they've had this issue with this 4.10 update, and yet they had 3 months to do it, and yet it still feels rushed, and there's still problems with it. It's pretty unacceptable, honestly. I do feel bad for my buddies out there, or any viewers out there who are Android users, because you might be experiencing this issue right now. And again, it's a company that I don't know what's going on back there, but there's still a lot of issues that are going to be need to be ironed out, and hopefully they'll be ironed out before the new year. But for now, we just have to wait and see what issues that we could have to help Android users, and hopefully they'll get that fixed in the future. So what do you guys think about the schedule, right? So now that we're finally going to get the collab, the Bandori 3s, but also let me know in the comments what you feel about this current debacle with the Android users and having issues with access in the game. I personally think my theory is pretty sound, but if you guys have any other discussion points about this, let me know down in the comments below. Yeah, so short and sweet weekly news quarter by comparison today. Let's just hop right into the other side of the studio. We have our special guest waiting. Looking forward to having a great conversation with both of them. So we hope to see you there very soon. Want to support the RePHIL studio? Check out our website. Links in the description below. Here you can learn more about the podcast as a whole, as well as complete our feedback form to give comments about how we can improve the project, as well as suggest any future special guests that you would like to see on the studio. You can also learn more about how you could support the podcast by joining the Filler Nation, either through a Twitch subscription or joining the YouTube membership below. Thanks again to the Filler Nation members for your constant support, and a reminder that all Filler Nation members can access the podcast live when they are recording in the Unga Academy Discord server. We hope to see you there. What is up, everyone? Welcome back, and let's refill to 99. We are ready for our next set, and welcoming our two special guests to the refill studio. I'm very happy to have Kit and Matsuri join us today for the studio. As a brief intro to both of them, Kit has gotten 5 T10 titles, if I'm correct, as well as a podium title. And Matsuri, most recently, gotten T10 in the Welcome to the Shrine event, but has many, many other tiering events that she would like to share. So both of you, welcome to the studio. I'm glad to have both of you here.
Thanks. And just a disclaimer, I definitely got voted from T10 last event. I got T11.
No! Oh no! Unfortunate. Well, that's maybe a slightly botched intro for you, Matsuri. But Matsuri, okay. if you can share maybe some other achievements you've gotten, or add to the intro there.
Sure. I'm at 2 podiums now. I think my most known achievement, I guess, is T3 in Slow Summer. Mm-hmm. But I think I'm at like 11 plus T10 plus right now. So yeah, I play the game too much.
And Kit, is there anything else you want to add about my intro for your side?
No, that should be good. You got it pretty down.
All right. Well, we'll definitely talk about your tiering achievements, both of you. You have plenty of stories to share about your tiering achievements, seeing as you have achieved many titles throughout your careers in tiering. But even before talking about tiering, let's get kind of a bit about how you two got into Bandori. So maybe Kit, we'll start with you. How did you get into Bandori, and how did you hear about the game?
Okay, so for Bandori, I've been playing the EN version since day one. I think there's only been 1 day since then. I haven't even logged in. I heard about it because I had it's not that great of a story. I had some Twitter mutuals that were sharing stuff about the game on Twitter, and yeah, I was like, "Oh, this looks cool. I'm gonna play." And they had like cover songs that I really liked, and that's initially what actually got me hooked. And then I started playing, and I really liked it. I started playing more for, you know, characters and stuff.
Yeah, and it's similar path surprisingly to me as well. Kind of got into the game day one. Didn't really start playing too much until like maybe a month in, but the cover songs really got me into it as well. And then, as you mentioned, the characters eventually and the whole series as a whole sucked me into this whatever this franchise has done to all of us. Yeah. And Matsuri, what about you? Similar story, different story?
Mine is very different, but still not that climatic.
Mhm.
I happened to be on Tumblr the day that the Garupa EN came out,
Mhm.
and I saw an ad, and it was like, I'm really into visual novels, and so I saw this ad, and it said that it had visual novel aspects to the game, and I was like, oh, that's neat. And so I just downloaded it, and so I just like quite literally, it just kind of was coincidental that it happened to literally be release day. I'm sure they were promoting it more because it was release day, but yeah, that was really how I got into it. And when I started, I was so bad, like I could barely play on normal, but I really wanted to keep reading the stories, and so I was like, I need to get better and play more games so that I can unlock the stories. And then it just all, now I'm crazy, it all went downhill from there.
Well, that's again very different ways of getting to the game, but again, that's sort of the charm about the franchise. There's so many ways or reasons you can get into it or enjoy it, whether it's for the gameplay or the characters, the music, the story, a lot of different ways. But Matsuri, when you first started the game, was there a particular character or band that you enjoyed or liked the most, and did that change throughout the years?
Karu and no. Yeah, I always liked Karu from the start. I fell in love with her immediately. She was just super captivating. And my love for her only grew and intensified. And then as far as the bands, I immediately liked Rosalia's music the best because I do like more of like hard rock type, like those heavy instrumentals with nice vocals. So immediately Rosalia was a favorite. But as far as just like the actual bands themselves, the groupings, I was just really torn for a while over like who a favorite was. That's why I started tiering so many different events, because I just love all the bands that much. But yeah, I mean, Rosalia still has my favorite music. I do consider them to be my favorite band. And there have been some girls that like my opinions have changed on as I've read more stories and everything, but Karu is still my number one.
Fair. And Kit, I think you might have a similar answer to that, and a favorite character in band, or
Kind of. So Kato wasn't actually always my favorite. I started with really liking Kokoro actually, because I liked the whole idea of her wanting to make the world smile, and I thought it was really cool and cute and happy. And then I kind of started like drifting towards Eve a little, because similar reason. She's just a happy-go-lucky character. But then as I started reading more and more, I was like, God, Kaoru is really, really cool. And yeah, ever since I started figuring out more about Kaoru, I'm like, God, she's amazing. And I really like her. As far as bands, because of Kokoro, I initially liked Hello Happy World the most. That started changing a bit as I read more stories. And now it's a kind of a joke, an inside joke, but I'm kind of like Afterglow's only stand.
Yeah, we tease Kit and we say that she's Afterglow's only stan.
Oh no. Well, for our viewers out there who do like Afterglow, they'll be like, well, you're not the only one, Kit. We are here as well. Hopefully.
I really like Afterglow, and like, they're really good friends, and I just think it's really good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, great. So obviously, again, both of you were able to get into the franchise very different ways and have like a bunch of different characters and bands as well. But I guess tiering is a very different aspect, right? That's a different way of showing devotion or enjoyment for a particular band or character. So maybe Kit, we'll start with you. How did you first start getting into tiering in Bandori?
So tiering, if we start with like tier 1000 and stuff,
Sure,
and then
yeah.
tier 100, so whenever I think it was Don't Leave Me Lisa, I that's when I really started to be like, oh, I really like this game. So I played a lot during that event, and I saw, oh gosh, I got T1000, and I actually got pretty close to T100. So then I was like, maybe I'll try a T100 at some point. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it for, and I think it was like When the Flowers Bloom. It was like the Fairy Pastel Palettes event. I was like, okay, I'll get T100 this event because I really liked the song for that event. And so I got T100 then. And then I was just like starting to plan out, okay, I'll get T100 these other events. And I started doing a bunch of T100s. And like, I don't know how much it takes to T10 and so initially I was like gonna T10 I think it was the Penguin Cannon event, and then stuff happened and I was like, nah. And then I don't remember when it was, but the Persona collab came out for JP, and I was like, that seems like a cool event to D10. But then that got like pushed forward, like it was way earlier than I anticipated. So I didn't do it for then. So the next event after that I was like, okay, I'll T10 this was the Cursed Well event. And that's actually how I met Matsuri, that event. So I was gonna like pub that whole event, T10. And then like I got invited to some Twitter group chat that turned into like a Discord group chat. And then we got invited into a server there. And like it was so weird. I was so scared of everyone. And I got my T10 and it was really, really close. Like I got 10th place, but yeah, and that's how my first T10 started, and then planned a couple events out. Now I'm here.
Oh wow. So again, just by coincidental kind of happy chance, during that first event you tried to go for T10 and you were pubbing it, Matsuri somehow found you and you were able to kind of get into the community from there.
Yeah, I really started getting into the community after that event. Like I was like more, I don't want to say alone or before that, but thank you.
Oh, my kitty cat.
Talking to people. Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, then we'll kind of have to do a little bit of a reverse in timeline to kind of get a bit of context in between, right? Because obviously, in order for Matsuri to have you join a Twitter group chat, to a Discord group chat, to a tiering server, Matsuri had to be in some sort of tiering server, or at least in this community to begin with. So Matsuri, maybe share about your side and how you got into tiering yourself.
Yeah, so kind of the same as Kit. Like I don't know, when I got into the game, I just really liked playing, and I mean, really, it was like I wanted to unlock the stories. So you have to level up the bands and everything. You have to play with the characters to unlock the main stories. So I was like, I have to play this game, and I started getting somewhat decent at it, or improving, let's say, and so I kept playing, and then setting goals for myself, like, oh, I'm gonna full combo this song and whatever. And so played more and more, and then I found that just during events, I was kind of getting up there without even really trying. Like, just like, I was just like top 25K, and everything. And I just, and this is really funny, but during the Don't Leave Me Lisa event, I got my first top 1K, which is actually really funny because I didn't know that was Kit's first top 1K. But yeah, I got T1K and I was like, well, damn. I could probably get T100 if I really wanted to. And, I've been playing since day one, but I throughout my life I've worked full time and everything. I have a full time job, so I was like, I don't know if this is feasible or not, but whatever. And so I knew literally nothing about meta songs and even like basic team building. I was bad at, and just I wasn't even that good at the game. So during the event, like the sixth member of Afterglow, I tried to T100 that event and I failed. And then I don't know, just like eventually like Cursewell came up and Karu was my favorite, and I knew that I wanted to T10 that. I ended up getting a T100 during the Fair and Fluffy competition. And then Cursewell came up, and I just honestly I followed Kit on Twitter. I don't particularly remember finding her with like any specific reason, but I just know that we followed each other, and that was a thing that happened. And I think she was tweeting about like wanting to tier for Karu or like whatever, and I was just like, oh, like I was thinking about that too, And so we started like kind of talking in DMs on Twitter, and then we like made this like jank ass tiering server that wasn't even a tiering server. Like it genuinely had like 10 people in it, and it was just kind of like some people on Twitter that had expressed that they wanted to tier for Karu, and so we were just there. And then 3 days into the event, I decided that I was like talking to Kit, and Kit was like, I decided to do it, and I was like, I'll do it too, okay. And then I was like kind of hovering around like 12th and 11th at that point, and then I just kind of went from there. And Kit actually was really honestly what inspired me to keep going, because we, in all honesty, really just pubbed that event like together. Like, we were in a room together, and then we kind of just played, and yeah, I went from there. Kit obviously got 10th. I was 11th, off by about 300K points, so we were very close. But it was awesome, and that's how I actually got acquainted to Kit. And honestly, that experience, like I just really enjoyed hanging out with her, and like we obviously like got a bit closer, and then like I don't know, we started talking from there, and then it was just I had this friend now that I could talk to about like our experience and tiering and everything, and then it just kind of went from there. We started making plans and talking more, and then it was just like more involvement from the community, and getting into actual tiering servers. Like people kind of like saw what we did and were offering us spots. That also happened during Cursewell. They like saw that we were like pub tiering, and like people reached out to Kit and I and were like, hey, we have this server, like you want to join it. And I could barely work Discord at the time, so it was just I was very, very new to like actually using Discord, and so tiering servers is a whole different realm for me, and I know it was the same for Kit. So it honestly was like, I feel like our stories are really unique because we really kind of discovered it together and got into it together in that way.
Yeah. It's really funny to hear that, again, both of you being Karu stands coming together to tier for her, and surprisingly, it's not like you two are already kind of very strangely acquainted at some point from a previous event that also featured Lisa. So maybe Lisa just has something. It's actually Lisa. Maybe it's not Karu. It's actually Lisa. But
wow, Kit's a secret Roselia stand. Oh my god.
But either way, you know, it's really great to see, you know, how your friendship has grown for just through that one little interaction, and it just kind of came together and tiering together. That's one of the really amazing things about tiering. It's just, yes, it is, you know, sitting playing the same song or maybe just playing the game for hours on end, but just the experience you get from doing that with friends and other people is just so rewarding. So honestly, it's great to see that has happened. And then you mentioned like eventually getting into tiering servers. So like, you know, how did that transition go from, and either of you can answer it, but how did that transition go from like, you know, being these pubbers of sort, right? These people kind of working on the side to actually being integrated community, kind of learning what tiering servers are like?
I will answer this if you're okay with that, Kit.
Yeah.
Because I I feel like a lot of it was like partially, I guess, my fault, quote
Sure.
unquote, if you would have put it that way. But basically, you know, another event was, you know, I had that experience and I was like all fired up and I was like, oh, I can do this now. You know, I can get a T10. Like I was literally so close. Like, you know, this is definitely feasible. And so the Hello Happy World Pirates event was coming up and I wanted to do that. And I just kind of, I don't know, it again, I was new and it didn't really register with me to like seek out a quote unquote proper tiering server. It was just like, oh, we have this like little group of like random, you know, mutuals that we've gathered on Twitter. Now we've migrated to Discord. We met a couple people in that other tiering server and like, you know, now I have Kit. And so we'll just play, you know, and do it that way. And I wasn't aware of the world of drama that comes with, you know, like pubbing. Like I kind of felt like it was like almost frowned upon at the time. Or just I guess like earlier on, you know, it was kind of like, oh, you're not like in a tiering server, you're like doing your own thing. And like honestly, it was just ignorance. Like I didn't know about like any of that. I didn't know about like server etiquette, what we consider server etiquette, I guess I should say. I still didn't even know how tiering servers operated. So yeah, I didn't know who to go to, who to talk to about whatever. I just thought I'm gonna play the game with my friends, you know. So with that, it just kind of I did end up during that event getting invited to a tiering server. Kit wasn't actively T10ing that event, but I was. And it was just kind of this whirlwind of me not understanding what was expected in that type of setting. And because we were so new, and I think people maybe thought that we like weren't that new because we had, you know, this couple events prior. And I still just like didn't understand. And so I did get like a lot of backlash for like how I was in the room, like leaving without giving proper notice and just like literally doing other real life things and not dedicating enough time to the game. And, you know, because I kind of told everyone, I was like, you know, I'm not going to put my life on hold for the game. If I have stuff to do real life, I'm going to do it. So yeah, it was kind of just like this crazy experience where I was like, whoa, like all these people are expecting all these things of me that I don't understand because this is all new to me. And, you know, I was communicating that to Kit the whole time and she was kind of watching it unravel. And at the end of that event, that was when we decided to make Fleetnotes our own group because we didn't understand those things and we wanted to grasp our own understanding while also helping other people understand in a plausible way without giving those having those, you know, pretenses and those expectations for you should know how this works and, you know, these are the things that are expected of you, you know, because if someone just would have told me, hey, like this is kind of how we do things, or, you know, like again, I couldn't even work Discord barely, you know.
Yeah.
So people are like, oh, read the rules, and I'm like, I don't even know what channels are, you know. So so it was very overwhelming in that sense. But then we kind of just came together and we were like, let's figure it out ourselves, and that was how we decided to make Fleetnotes.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, there's the origin story right there of Fleetnotes, and I was definitely going to ask that next as well. Just like, you know, getting tiering servers, they are very complicated, and there's like some some systems that people have to understand, and at first it can be quite challenging for sure. I definitely fully admit and understand that that's definitely a case for newer players. And I think like very similar to my community and Fleet Notes. I think Fleet Notes was definitely sort of like, I would say, one of the more like one of the premier communities that was made in order to really help alleviate sort of that that tiering stress, and build that community who are people who are curious about tiering and want to try it out. So Fleet Notes definitly was sort of my introduction, my introduction to a community of sorts. So yeah, just to let you all know that Fleet Notes was a sort of an introduction to me in order to join a sort of like actual community of Bandori. Like obviously it was in popcorn and such, but like obviously it's like you don't really find that community belonging there, because it's so big, and it's understandable. Like I'm not really too active on Discord at the time either, so it's like, okay, well, it'd be better to join like smaller communities and be able to get to understand a few more people, and yeah, truth be told, Fleet Notes was the first one. So
well, I'm glad.
There's one story for you guys to sort of enjoy and appreciate.
No, that's really nice to hear, because that kind of it wasn't that's what we made it for. We just wanted that like inclusiveness, that welcoming sense of like a smaller group that was still a part of the community, or trying to learn and be more integrated. So that's awesome to hear.
Yeah, we don't want people to like be scared to ask anything.
Yeah, can't like when Matsuri sort of proposed the idea of building this community called Fleet Notes. Well, what was your reaction, and what did you do to kind of also continue to build that community?
So like we didn't expect Fleet Notes to get as big as it did. It was it used to be just like a really small group of people, mostly people that are like newer or just don't know as much about tiering. And then as we like explore, we just like started building Fleet Notes based on like other tiering servers that we joined, and like we're like, how can we make Fleet Notes a more welcoming place based on this and that, and just. I liked the idea. I was like, sure, let's keep this server and, help other people too as we go along our own journey. Just, yeah.
For sure. Going into Fleet Notes, and again, it's really interesting to see sort of these communities branching out of the big Bandori community, because there's so many people who enjoy Bandori despite being such a niche kind of game or franchise. There's just so many aspects of why people enjoy the franchise, and obviously tiering is one of them, and it's great to see so many communities grow as a result. Obviously there's some more serious competitive clans that kind of were created at the time when the game first came out, but of course Fleet Notes eventually came later as well, and then communities like mine, right? Maybe they were definitely loosely based on Fleet Notes and other communities as well, to be able to help people understand tiering, and maybe that's why you're watching this podcast. It's because you want to learn more about tiering experiences from others and learn more about how we all got here to this point. So it's really interesting that Fleet Notes grew because of experiences from tiering, and then kind of branched off from that, and you were able to work together. And again, as you mentioned, you didn't expect to grow to be such a big community, but then it just did, right?
Yeah. It was kind of just like Kit was saying. We kept tiering these events, or like, and I say tiering loosely, but even if we just like T100 or like whatever, we were playing these events, and basically how it happened is we would just, if we met people quote unquote along the way, we'd be like, hey, like if you want to still keep chatting with us and hanging out and like whatever, after the event, like come join Fleet Notes. Can I invite my friend to Fleet Notes? Like they want to know more stuff about Bandori, or they want to play this event, can I invite them? And we'd be like, yeah, like of course, and I don't know. It just kind of went from there.
Oh, well, that's again, it's really interesting to see this this origin story of fleetnotes, and how did that, and obviously, I think the name is, it's pretty kind of obvious, but what kind of gave the fleetnotes name? What was the origin and the name of that?
Matsuri can explain this one.
So at the time, my handle on social media was flicknote. And when I created this, when we created the server, I just didn't, like, I was talking to Kit and I was like, what do we call it? And we both were just like, I don't know, like, we can't. And I was like, well, I'm gonna call it flick notes for now, because flick notes are in the game, and like, I don't know, it's just like whatever. And so, then we invited, our little small group that we had from Cursed Well, and those friends, and like they got in the server, and like obviously they knew that we were Kaworu stands, and there were quite a few other Kaworu stands there, and they were just like, why isn't this server called Fleet Notes? And I was like, okay. And then I changed it, and that was how it happened. It was really goodness. Yeah, it was very, again, anticlimactic. We were very spontaneous people, so
for sure.
It was really clever though.
No, it is, yeah. We were like, that's nice.
Well, yeah, again, it's great to see people out there in the community, because you, me, you, Kit, Matsuri, all three of us, we've all done ways to try and build communities, make people feel more welcome in Bandori. Again, it's a very niche sort of franchise to get into, so sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming at first to join a community and get to know people who have similar interests. But again, I think ultimately, I'll try to do what we can to give back to the community and be able to build those connections that we found so meaningful and impactful throughout the us playing the game. So. It's again great to see that, to hear about the origin of fleetnotes, kind of better understand how you two got to know each other and got to experience steering together. So
yeah.
Just a reminder that all special guests featured in the RePHIL studio can be found in the Unga Academy Discord server. Links in the description below. Join our great community who is very passionate about Bang Dream, tiering, and many other interests. And we have weekly community events as well as contests for people to complete through challenges. Of course, all Filler Nation members can access the podcast live when they're recording in this Discord server as well. So we hope to see you there. So let's kind of dive in a little bit more into maybe some more specific tiering stories now. So, Kit, why don't we start with you? I know, again, you've gotten quite a few T10s, and of course the podium. Are there any, maybe between your T10s, were there anyone that you found particularly interesting, or maybe there was a particular challenge you faced in any of your 5 T10s?
Let's see. Interesting. I thought song for me was interesting. Sorry. But that was because I tiered it with Matsu, but that was also like the very first event I properly tiered in like a tiering server. Like that was my start in a tiering server, and it went spectacularly for me. It just like, yeah, I got my T9, I think, actually. It was great. As far as difficult T10s, my first difficult T10 was Cycling Seasons, the afterglow event where Ron's got her glasses. I wasn't going to tier that event to begin with. But that was like around the time COVID started, and I was like, I should T10 this event. Because I really liked that card, and I really started to like run. Like, okay, I'm going to tier this. And that T10 was really difficult because it had like 13 people, 15 people going for T10. And I was like, oh no, why did I choose to tier? And even like in the last 30 minutes of the event, I was still like, oh no, am I going to get this T10? Because the person in T11 was still playing so like close to each other. But then they stopped playing like the last 15 minutes or so of the event, and I was like, oh, thank God I got T10. But that was like one of the more challenging T10s that I was like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna get this title.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
after that, I was originally gonna have summer be my first podium, but now that my pretty competitive, as you can tell.
You don't say.
Yeah.
So I think I got like sick the first day. And was like, no, I can't do this. I'll just T10 it. But I still decided to like beat like previous event point goals, and like I ended up in 4th place. So it was still a really good experience. I don't regret it one bit.
Yeah.
And then so my podium, that was like probably the most difficult event I've ever had to take, obviously. My team wasn't, well, it was like okay, it wasn't up to par. I'm not sure. It's my accuracy has never been like the greatest when it comes to like actually playing. I always play on hard. So like throughout the event, if I start to get tired or anything, I have to go down to like normal or then easy. And like so I played obviously I played that time. I didn't stop. I just gave it my all. At some point I was like, okay, I know I'm not gonna get this T2, T1, whatever. But I still kept going because I was like determined to just keep playing. So I just kept playing. And then, yeah, I still don't regret tearing that event. I'm really happy with my T3. And yeah, I spent my time getting my T3 actually at Matsuri's place. And she was like, she was really, she like just, you know, she was just there to support me, and it was really helpful. She watched me almost fall asleep so many times. There was probably like a point where I failed like 5 songs in a row, and she was just like, "You need to go to sleep."
This is true.
Oh wow. Well, that's really interesting. I actually did not know that. Despite that, you two first know each other as like Twitter mutuals, that you were kind of like in the same area. Yeah.
We're not in the same area. I just like decided, okay, we should spend this event together. I like actually flew out and went to meet her.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And we spent a lot of time together, and I was like, let's just have fun cheering this event too.
See, it's so fascinating how like just a tappity tap rhythm game could just build such a strong friendship, just a strong bond between people, and it's just so amazing to see. And again, being able to have support, especially in a competitive T1 event, like Melody of the Dignified Wind. So for context, this is the event that Kit was talking about, was the Sayo Karu event. So just having that care on the side as well is certainly very very important as well. Kit, of course, when you saw that event, and like what sort of convinced you to a few layers of questions. First, what first convinced you to tier that event? Obviously, just Karu, but like, what sort of motivated you to say, I want to go for T1 in this event? And also, what did you do to prepare, knowing that there was a competitor competing for that T1?
Okay, so like this event, when it came out, it was like during summer solstice.
It sure was.
Yeah, we're like super excited, like, we're cheering for Kato. Oh no, Kato. It was yeah. I was originally not gonna T10 even. I was like, just okay, T100, but I like this Kato, sure. And a couple months after, I was like, I want to T10 this event. It's really cool. I like this Kaoru card, so T10. And it so happens there wasn't really any tiering servers for me that had any spots for T10. So I was like, you know what? Forget T10. I'm gonna make my own server. So I did that, and that was like a couple months before the event started. I don't remember, maybe it was like January. It had to have been a little after the Kawachisa event.
Yeah.
So to prepare for that, I don't usually buy stars all at once when I like need them to tier. I usually like buy sales and stuff throughout the year, so I did all that. I saved all my stars. And like, so I saved stars using that way. Obviously got my tiering server together, invited a bunch of people, and like I would invite people after I T100 or helped in any event I could. And so I knew Xander and Pastry were gonna go for this event, so obviously I did everything in my power to just have that week free for the event. And going to Matsuri's helped, obviously, because then I wouldn't have my family distracting me or anything.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just I knew Xander had like one T10 title, but I was still like I still gotta give it my best. I knew
For sure.
Pastry was gonna be really hard to beat.
Yeah.
I hope you're not hearing this, Pastry, but I think you're kind of crazy.
Pastry's a beast. Pastry's a good dude.
It's kind of crazy, but I am like honored to have gone up against both of them. They both put up a really good fight too, and like yeah, it's okay. I'm like really happy with my T3. I still gave it my all, and like I did stuff I never had done before with tiering. I stayed up so long.
Yeah.
I think I took a nap that lasted less than 2 hours.
No, damn. I was impressed because this girl, like, you know, she'd tell me when she was going to bed, and I'd be like, okay, I got you. Like, if you like, I'll be your IR alarm clock, you know? And like, I go to check, and she'd be up right when she said that she was gonna be up. Like, I was just like, the discipline on this one. I was like, literally.
Like, my accuracy may not be the best when it comes to this stuff, but if I like tell myself, okay, you're gonna be awake at this time, I'll be awake at that time even if I feel like I'm dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was you know, again, I for those who may not be aware, you know, for those who are listening, I was also tiering that event, right? I was in the other server. Yeah, I was fifth in that event. So yeah.
This is crazy.
So it was funny. So I was in the other server, right? So I was in the other server, and we were doing our first grind, and it was basically just the roster going right out the bat. So at the start, you probably noticed, Kit, that there were like a lot of people that were not in your server that were already at the top and kind of, you know, putting for the first grind, right? So I obviously had no intentions for podium, so I was just kind of doing the first grind with the people. But our other individual, Raven, he was the guy that I guess you maybe were a little bit worried that he might go podium and might take that spot as well. But it was funny on the side, we were just like, Raven, are you actually gonna go for podium? And he's like, you know what, I could try. And I'm like, well, Kit has prepared like a year in advance, and you literally like wanted to do this like the day before. And he's like, okay, well, how much stars? And then he looks at the spuns and he's like, ooh, I don't know if I have enough funds. They're like, yeah, I think we'll leave that journey on the side. And he actually was just like, maybe I could try boat kit. I'm like, yeah, we're like, yeah, you know, with the funds you have, it might be a bit difficult. And I know, Kit, because with your preparation that you did and the hours you put, like I remember looking at the tracker, I'm like, okay, Kit has, there's no like blank spots. There's like very small blank spots throughout the entire event. I'm just like, wow, the dedication you had that you pulled through. And again, even though that you ended up still ended up getting podium, and it was very well deserved with the podium you achieved with all the hard work you did. So, you know, big congratulations regardless. I just wanted to share, I guess, that side of the other side, because again, I was in that the other server and I was tiering, and funny enough, I asked you, Kit, if I was able to share your server link over. So it's funny to see like me tiering with like Xander and Pastry, but then I would see people from my server in your server, and I was like, I thought they wanted to support me. But
Yeah, he was like, you know, if you want to support the other side too, I'm okay with it, because myself, I'm just gonna go at it as much as I can. And like, I didn't even think about that till now that you asked me at the beginning. to share the server link, and I was like, oh wait, he also went for T10. Just like right now, it popped into my head.
Yeah.
But during the actual event, I was worried, like, oh no, are these two going for podium? It's like, wait.
Yeah, I remember the initial grind. We were like kind of sussing everyone out. Like, all right, who's really in this, you know? But yeah, that's how the initial grinds are. But yeah, just going off what you said, Phil, like, you know, anyone who knows Kit and I knows that we are very inclusive. Like I don't know, we just want everyone to just play the game with whoever they want. And you know, so like that was just like in my past endeavors and also like in hers in this instance, it was, you know, if you want to help out the competition, like by all means, like you do whatever you want. You could be friends with people from both rosters, you know. It's just I don't know, we've never kind of done that type of thing, and that's kind of just how we've run things, which we've also gotten slack for in the past, but that's just kind of our mentality. We just kind of want everyone to go with the flow and do what they want.
Yeah. And again, ultimately, I think despite being a competitive event, I think at the end of the day, it all was in very friendly terms. Like I think they're all still in good terms at the end, and I think it was a very healthy competition as well. And again, we were all very inspired as well by just how dedicated and how many hours you grinded on that event, Kit. Just how much you put into that event, and the fact that you just never gave up. And you could have easily seen Raven, for instance, getting that T3 and without knowing that he actually ran out of funds, and then Mike just gave up on that. But again, you just kept going because you prepared this event for the entire year, right? You want to go with it with no regrets. So again, it's great to hear your side of the story because again, I was in the other servers roster, doing what I can. But again, it's great that we are both a Melody to Dignified Wind high tier havers in this room. So
yeah, yay! I'm very happy. Yeah, it was a very friendly competition. I was satisfied with it.
Great. Well, I'll give the spotlight now to you, Matsuri, in terms of your tiering accomplishments. Again, you have achieved quite a few, a number of podiums as well. Again, maybe I'll let you start talking about some notable stories you might had with some of your achievements, either podium or T10.
Yeah. So I'll just kind of go through the timeline and glaze over ones that, maybe are less interesting or not as intricate. But obviously, Cursed Wealth, that was my first T11 during the Hello Happy Pirates event. I also got T11 during that event. So that was another quote unquote failed T10. Then New Season was the next one that I aimed for, and that was competitive for no fucking reason. Like, because everyone was kind of like making jokes about how Pokepaw events like aren't competitive and like yada yada yada, and then that was the most competitive Pokepaw event to date. And it was like day 4 in, and like I was working full time and I was a student full time, and I was like, I literally have classes all day and I have work. Like I can't sustain this, So I ended up getting 13th that event, but that was a T10 event, T10 attempt that I went for that just ended up not coming through because of the competition. But that was a solid event. I enjoyed it, My first T10 was Trick or Escape. I got 9th during that event. I was really proud of myself because, again, I was working full time. I was a student full time. And I guess to be, like some people will say like, oh, like it's easy to T10. It's it's not that hard. But like when you are also prioritizing aspects of your life, such as work and school, whether it be family, whatever, it is hard, to get that balance in and do that. So I was really proud of myself because I didn't give up work or school, and I still got the title, and it still was competitive. So that was solid. My last T11, if you don't count the one that I literally just got a couple days ago, was Song for Me, which I tiered with Kit. And so that was nice too. But yeah, just kind of going on from there, I started to look forward to eventually like Slow Summer came out, and like when that event dropped, like I remember on JP, like when we got the leaks when it came out. Obviously I'd had a T10 under my belt at this point. I'd had multiple failed attempts under my belt, and I just knew I was like, because, not everyone knows, but Eve is like my second favorite girl. She's my second best. So it was my fave and my second fave. And I was like, this is literally my event. Like, it's mine, and I just had my heart set on it. And I was like, I'm going to pull throughout the year. I'm going to have optimal for both, because it's challenge. I was like, I'm going to have optimal for both burning CP and earning. Like, I'm going to have everything planned. I'm going to, it's during the summer, so I won't have classes. I'm going to request off of work. Like, I was like, no, this is my event. Like, I'm doing this. So, I mean, without a doubt, Slow Summer is, nothing can ever top that event. It was crazy in the best of ways. We had a fucking blast. I had 9 days set aside to spend with my friends in great company. And I mean, anyone who knows me knows that that's what I really like about tiering. I get to kind of like express my passion for this hobby that I have and this thing that I like, but also it's like dedicated time set aside to spend with friends in their company. And it kind of feels more disciplined than if you're just like in your everyday life, like, oh yeah, like we'll make plans for later or whatever. That feels more recreational. I don't know if it's tiering. To me, it kind of just feels more like a discipline type thing. So no, that's why I really like it. And Slow Summer, anyone who was there during the event can attest to what that event was, but it was just crazy in the best of ways. It was a great time. I did crazy things. We broke records. It was the highest podium to date. Nothing had ever exceeded that at the time. This was, before the 250%. So, podium was clocking in at like 40 mil, about, and it was really, really crazy. And I mean, I don't think any of us planned on, breaking a record or setting a new record for that competition. So that was cool. I was up against Amy-san and Mai being one of my friends. I knew Amy-san, but no, it was just a great, like, I couldn't have asked for like a better event to go T1 on. Like, Amy was, like, we had stayed in contact. We were open with each other about our rosters. I was acquainted with, we're both in SSR and everything. And we like talked. It was just like, we had open communication, and it was just truly friendly competition. I couldn't have asked for better people to go up against. And all three of us were fucking insane. We broke records. We did crazy things. I think I have it like pulled up right here, but during there were like 222 hours of the event, and I played 186 hours of that event. So yeah, like the last day, and I've like never had this happen before, but I had been awake so long that literally, like, and this, for people who don't tier, this is a thing that people actually do, by the way. My motor skills literally gave out. Like, it wasn't even that I was falling asleep, but like my hands couldn't keep moving. And so I just like, the last day I had to literally call it, and like the last 12 hours I just like passed out. And so 12 hours of those hours I didn't play were spent there, but it was just awesome. It was really the best experience I could ever ask for. And a lot of people have asked me since, like, were you upset you didn't get T1 or like you didn't get the title? But like, I don't know, for me, like, that was my T1, and nothing is going to beat that experience. And so like, I'm more than satisfied with what I got. I mean, our performances really attest to what we did. So I just really enjoyed that event. It was solid. And in the coming times, like, obviously I've done, T10s past that and everything. And it's been with my friends. I've really enjoyed that. And yeah, I mean, that's another part of, you know, tiering, which you've also talked about too, like, you know, like Kit and I, how we met and everything is just, you know, throughout these experiences, you get to like curate your own space and you find these friends and these people that you stick with. And that's really my favorite part about tiering. It's just spending time with these people and like us doing our thing and everything. So yeah, that's, you know, that's what I look forward to nowadays. Some people might think like it's a little silly, doing T10s after you have like multiple podiums, but no, that's why I still do it. I wouldn't do it if I didn't like doing it.
Yeah, I really appreciate your positive outlook in terms of like tiering, because for a lot of the times people really maybe find tiering to be really maybe difficult, maybe sometimes a little bit frustrating or demotivating, especially if you don't get the titles you want. But again, Matsuri, again, the way you look at tiering in terms of like the overall whole experience, I think it really makes sense, and it really makes it a lot easier for you to continue motivating yourself to continue pushing for titles that you want to achieve, despite obstacles in the way. And it's really great to hear that about the T2 and just hearing about that overall experience as well. It certainly is really quite fascinating. Now, of course, you know, I think that positive outlook really has to come in, because I'm just before we had the studio start, Matsuri was talking with Kit about just how many, for whatever reasons, how many quote unquote boat titles you have. For those who are not familiar with the terminology, boat is when you're like one spot off of a particular spot. And Matsuri, again, you already hinted and earlier in the podcast that, you know, like events like Welcome to Shrine getting 11th, and that's not your first 11th, like far from it. It's I don't know what to say. It's just like I like what how does that like unluckiness like hit you, and like oh man. But maybe Matsuri, let's talk a little bit more about that event. I know you probably have a lot to say in particular about the Welcome to the Shrine event.
Oh God. So yeah, I guess before I touch on that, as far as like my T11s before, so to date I have 4 T11 titles.
That must be a record, honestly. That must be a record. You might have the most T11s.
No, it is because homie and I were tied, and now I have more than him. So homie, I know you're listening now. I beat you. But yeah, so I officially have more T11 titles than him now. I have 2, again, coincidentally, I have 2 T13 titles, which were 2 instances where I was aiming for T10. I had been like in the T10 for the first like 4 days, like about, but then I had to just like drop and stop playing because of IRL situations, whether that be work, school, whatever it was. And so that happened twice, once during New season and then once during Fleeting Night stream. So, and then I just kind of ended up at 13 both of those times after playing the 4 days like hard and then just stopping and not playing the rest of the event. So those ended up that way. And then my T11s, like some I played up until the very last day, the very last point. But yeah, with Welcome to the Shrine. So for those who don't know, what happened to me is and a lot may know, there was obviously there's been a whole dumpster fire going on with ENdori right now, and there was a glitch or a bug that came out with the new patch where Android users, I think it was with newer Android devices, were having issues where they would open the game and then try to download, and then it would just crash and shut down. And so I was having this issue and I couldn't get into the game, and I was like really devastated because Arisa and Yukina are both in my top 5 girls, and I was supposed to T3 this event. Like that was my plan. I was on, you know, a roster and I prepped for it and everything. And so I was looking forward to tearing this event, and I was just like really heartbroken that because of this stupid bug, you know, something I couldn't control, that, you know, this was getting in the way of it. And you know, I kind of like tried. I was like, you know, like I was like, well, you know, I was like desperate. I was like, what if I just like uninstall and reinstall? and I had my account linked to my Google Play. So and then I uninstall and I reinstall, and then like I went to, you know, grab my data and it just wasn't there on Google Play. And I was like, oh, dope. And so the bug actually ended up fixing for me on my phone, but my account was in limbo now because I literally lost my account data.
No.
Because I don't know why it wasn't linked anymore. I had it linked and I don't know what happened, but because I obviously wouldn't have uninstalled the game if I didn't. But yeah, so then I went through the first 4 or 5 days of the event, literally going back and forth with devs, getting my account back, and at like 11 p.m. Or 11 or 12, there were literally 48 hours left in the event. I got an email with from the devs saying, hey, here's your account. And I was like, yo, it's still possible for me to get T10. I'm going to try. I was like, I'm going to go for it. I was like, I'll be damned if I don't try. Like, obviously T3 is out of the question, but I'm going to go for it. And so everyone was like, yo, are you serious? And I told everyone too in the server, I was like, if I get my account back and it's still feasibly possible for me to get T10, I'm going to try. And they were like, yeah, Matsu, yeah. And then when I said I was going to do it, I think they were kind of like, oh shit, she's really going to do it. And so I spent a majority of the last 48 hours playing catch up, starting from 0 EP. Was I've never done something like that before, start that late into an event. It was, I will say, it was definitely, I don't know, it was a new experience for me, which I'm glad that I also have that under my belt, but I've never started that late into an event where I'm looking at people on the leaderboard who have 7 mil EP and I'm at 0, you know? That's like super demotivating. Like, it's just like, damn, I'm so far. But I was like, it's possible, so I'm gonna try. And then the last day, I think there were about like 6 hours left in the event. I took like a 2-hour nap and then I got back up and I started going. And there was one pub that was a pub, so someone who just wasn't in the tiering server. They were playing and they eventually hit what was my max EP, which was like 8.2 mil, which was like, if I kept playing the entire event, what I could get with my team. And other 2 friends were in 9th and 10th, and I was like, you guys have the resources and time, not gonna vote you. It's just not, you know, like, let's just call it. Let's not waste, you know, our time, whatever. So then I called it. But no, I know, like, I don't know, people probably I'm stupid and crazy, but like, no, I wasn't upset from it. Like it was a crazy ride of that 48 hours, but I'm glad that I did it. I am.
Imagine if you were able to get that T10 Matsuri.
It would have been
that would have been like the most, like, that would have been a completely different story in like a completely amazing way. Like, oh, like literally someone could actually snipe an event in 48 hours. Like, that is absolutely ridiculous. That would be really, really funny. But either way, again, wow. We heard a lot of familiar names throughout this whole podcast. Homie, we talked about SSR, and like, you know, it's all interesting that all the community, they all kind of come together and they're all connected to somehow, and they've all been, you know, featured in the podcast at some point. But Matsuri, wow, that's what a crazy grind. That's also partially why today's recording was a little bit delayed compared to the actual time, because I didn't want to have a brain dead Matsuri with A to Z brain rot on the guest list. So
that was the funniest thing. I messaged Kit and I had been up for, because okay, just to give you some preface for this too, I worked an 8-hour shift, came off that shift and started my grind. So it wasn't even like I had like that prep beforehand. And so, you know, I had been going for however many hours. I messaged Kit and I was like, Kit, you got to talk to Phil. I'm dying and I don't even think I can properly communicate it to him right now. So can you just let him know that I'm so sorry?
Yeah, it's honestly, again, like, wow, like just the amount of time that you know, both of you have done in certain events just to like try to get the titles that you achieved. It's wow, it's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy to see how dedicated and just how well you're able to do that. So Yeah, it's what a crazy story, Matsuri. And honestly, again, like I can't blame you because at the end of the day, like it wasn't even just the Google, the delays, right? It was like a lot of other things. Like the event was supposed to be in January, but then it then got moved to like November, and then it kind of got moved around again. It's I don't know if you have any. Obviously, again, as you mentioned previously, it's really frustrating that you can't achieve a goal because of things you can't control, right? It's really frustrating. But I guess let's just hope that ENdori get their act together.
I sure hope so.
Yeah, I imagine that the schedule changes, and of course the update being delayed, and the 1 week break of no events at all. I think that just affects your scheduling like so much, like every time.
Yeah, it's definitely been crazy, and I kind of was like sitting. Like this, it was sitting in my mind on the back burner, like, yeah, this event's coming up, but like, who really knows? Because there's a lot going on right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope they get their stuff together. I know that earlier, this patch came out with the Dorami collab, and like, I tried to open the app earlier and I was having the same crash again. So I was like, so I hope that everything gets resolved because, there are like, obviously we're telling these crazy stories, but there are a lot of people who put a lot of time and energy into this. And it's definitely more than just a game for them. And, I like Kit's sitting right here and I absolutely consider her one of my best friends without a doubt. And so it's like, you have people who have stuff like that. And it's, it becomes more than a game at that point.
For sure. Well, maybe that's why Google flagged down, ENdori previously, because maybe the update just wasn't that good to begin with. But
yeah.
Anyway, let's hope that ENdori gets their act together, so that you will be able to tier for future events. And maybe just to conclude, before we end off the episode, maybe the two of you could briefly share some future plans you might have in terms of tiering, maybe in Bandori or perhaps in other games as well.
Yeah. We're just chuckling. We plan a lot of events together, as you've kind of been, ever since the beginning we've been tiering together. The next event, just I guess on a separate note, the next event I have planned, I'm going to do the Terror Night, the Roselia event.
Oh, okay.
Who knows when that'll be though.
Yeah.
I know Homie mentioned that in his episode too, so prepare to see us on the leaderboard.
Oh yeah, let's go.
So we'll be doing that, and then as far as like what we're doing, the biggest thing that's like coming up is obviously we're tearing the Kaoru banner. Come on, that's a given.
It's been 3 years.
We know. And so Kit and I, because again, we're not really traditional. We're not really traditional in the sense of like the tiering scene and how it is. So like we are actually both going to compete for first place in the same server. Kit and I are. So we're going to be doing that when the cow banner comes around.
Yep.
I like that. Friendly competition within the server. It has happened not too often, but it has happened before. And I think it's just it's nice to have like, someone behind your back. The worst case scenario, if no one has your back, you got your competitor behind your back. So, Okay, well that's good. So that's a obviously a big project that you two have in mind, the Kaoru event, after of course her not being featured in a banner for 3.5 years. But
every single event that would go by, we're like, this one's gonna be Kaoru banner.
Say it every time.
Until it finally happened. Yep.
Yeah, and then it happened.
So Kit, any plans yourself other than the T1 Kaoru?
So I do plan to T10 Puppy for Valentine's.
Wow.
So that's also soon.
Yeah.
let's see. I also want to T10. I already forgot what the name was. Oh, the it's like a new puppy paw event. The one where they have the little stuffed animals and stuff. I
Oh,
thought it
okay.
was so cute. And it's not because I'm a puppy paw. I just really like the
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I'll tier it yet, but I do maybe want to tier Arabian Nights for Ran. Not sure yet. We'll see what happens. And that's as far as it goes for ENdori. I might do a couple of. I'm not sure exactly what rank, but I might do a couple of tiering things on Project Sekai. We'll see about that. We'll just see how it goes, because I'm not sure yet. For sure, later in the future, there will be like a Mafuyu event I want to tier. So
Like
we'll see what happens.
like perhaps the one that just passed in JPdori.
Yeah,
Maybe. Yeah.
definitely that one actually, especially
Okay.
since yeah.
Good. Well, yeah. Again, Project Sekai, or AKA Colorful Stage, a new game, and some people are definitely getting into tiering for that, and it seems like very interesting as well. So we'll see if some of us familiar faces will get on the leaderboards there. Yeah, great. Well, for both of you, Kit and Matsuri, honestly, it's been a great pleasure having you in the studio today, joining us for this episode. Are there any other last words or shout outs you want to give?
I'll let Kit go first.
I'm actually not. I mean, thank you to Matsuri for being here with me.
Oh my gosh.
I usually get really nervous when talking to people.
Kit, you did great. You did great sharing your experiences. So thank you for taking the time to share all the wonderful tiering stories you've had.
Thank you. But yeah, thank you for just having me on here, allowing me to get my experiences out there to others who, just there listening.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I guess with me, I'm definitely not as quiet as Kit. I'm definitely louder. I'm the louder half. But yeah, no, thanks for having us. I think that it was super awesome that you had both of us. I honestly probably, just because of our history, I honestly couldn't really imagine it any other way, than telling our stories side by side, because they do coincide so much. But no, I just think it's awesome that you're doing this podcast and everything, because I love just seeing community stuff like this just surface in different ways. And so I think it's really awesome what you're doing, and I'm glad that we were able to be a part of it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for, again, kind words of joining the podcast, and of course, being an inspiration of sorts for the community that I've built as well, with of course with Fleet Notes as well. So again, for those who are listening, if you want to follow or interact with our special guests, feel free to join my Discord server. You could interact with Kit and Matsuri, and feel free to contact them as well. Their Twitters are also on the handle. Their Twitter handles are also on the video as well. And yeah, so thank you all for joining. The set has been complete. We hope to have your cans ready for the next refill in the next episode. But until then, thank you all so much for listening and watching, and we will see you soon. Take care, and bye-bye.
Bye, guys.